your digital world is so, so, so full. It fills the void, and yet what you experience is an emptiness. The flip side is true. When you show up to the void of your reality, you're scared of how empty it is because it's actually so full. It requires things of you. Your reality needs you. Your life needs you. Hello, this is Jenny Black. Welcome to Lose the Phone. I am a mental, I don't remember what I am. I am a marriage and family therapist. I am a mental case. I'm a marriage and family therapist who studies the intersection of mental health and media. And today I want to invite you to participate or to maybe get to be a fly on the wall in a coffee shop conversation I had last week with a young man who was lamenting the various difficulties in his life, including not having any friends, not having a purpose in his life, not liking his job, not seeing a future. And I said, it is absolutely not a small thing that I have chosen to give 100% of myself to this work in the media trauma realm, because I know deep, deep, deep in my bones that it is that and I had a front row seat to this particular person, knowing that it was his relationship with his phone that was ruining his life. Now, the truth is that life is really, really hard, especially if you are sort of launching into the adult world right now in 2024. This is not an easy reality that we're in. It is very difficult to make friends. It is very hard to find out. It's never been easy for anyone to figure out what their work is and what brings them joy and fulfillment and meaning. Intimacy is hard, right? This is not easy stuff. So the truth is that our phones, while they make it more difficult for us to get to those things, they also are, it's so much easier just to get on your phone and create your imaginary world and cocoon yourself into a space in which you're in control and you're inundated with all the problems of the world and all the possibilities of life without actually having to face them yourself. My very dear friend was so, has an ability to be honest with himself in a way most of us can't. And he said, Jenny, I think the truth is I'm just really afraid of the void. I don't want to face the void that will exist if I get rid of my phone. And I was like, that's it. That's what all of us are afraid of. It's what we've always been afraid of. This is it. And so I wanted to address that today. The void is real. The void is real. When we put away our phones, when we close our laptops, when we stop working, when we stop hustling, when we stop injecting ourselves with our next hit of dopamine or Pinterest pictures or all of the imagined life we could have, the life we imagine other people have, or just plain old content to keep our minds skipping on the surface of an imaginary world. We do not have to face ourselves. We don't have to face our reality. We don't have to face humanity. We don't have to face our problems. We also don't have to face the chasm between us and the possibilities, our potential. And that is so real. It's always been real. It's always been hard. No one has ever found this. This is the human struggle, is what my friend was basically saying. Our phones are blocking us from engaging in the human struggle. When we are blocked from our own realities, from our own selves, from our own intuition, from our own resources, a couple of things happen. And I know I've talked about this before, but it just cannot be, it can't be said too many times because it's such a big deal. We are blocked from, when we get off of our phones and we sit in the bareness of our reality, we are experiencing two things at the same time. We have absolutely suffered from trauma in our digital spaces. We are overwhelmed mentally just from content. We are overwhelmed emotionally from the way that our media has been designed to trigger us, because that's what keeps us watching. So our bodies are actually going through a neglected state of we haven't moved the way that we needed to, we haven't breathed the way that we needed to, and we are worse off for our time on our phones. We are worse off. That time that we think that we're wasting and that we're disappearing is actually harming us for two reasons: what it has done to us in that space, and secondly, what it has kept us from doing in our space. So we also are suffering from the neglect of our real lives. So it's two parts. The harm of our digital experiences are met with the neglect in our real lives. So let's say I haven't exercised, I haven't cleaned my house, I got behind on that paper, I've haven't moved forward with this particular appointment that I need to make. My bank account hasn't been balanced, right? Or I haven't even done repairs in my house. I mean, there's just 1,000 things that need to be done in reality, and you are not going to want to show up to a reality in which you are overwhelmed by what you have to face. So this void, this void is simultaneously your digital world is so full, right? It fills the void, and yet what you experience is an emptiness. The flip side is true. When you show up to the void of your reality, you're scared of how empty it is because it's actually so full. It requires things of you. Your reality needs you. Your life needs you. Your job needs you. Your children need you. Your friends need you. Your community needs you. Your environment needs you. Your house needs you. Houses don't work. Rooms don't work without a person taking care of them. So, first of all, I want to honor the existential crisis that is facing the void without your phone. There's a reason very few people are able to make this transition. I met with a friend who gave up his smartphone several years ago, and he said over the past few years, he's had over 100 conversations with people who are ready to give up their smartphones and live a different way. And he said two of them over the last handful of years have actually traded in their smartphone for a dumb phone and are choosing to live that way. This is hard. What we're saying to do is hard. And yet, if you want to meet the people who are the most fulfilled in their life, the most connected to the people that they're with and the work that they want to do and the things that bring them joy, and that live in beautiful spaces and places that they participate in, they are not living they're not living in the digital world. They're living in their real world. The flip side is true. If you meet someone who has curated their digital life to perfection, if you happen to meet them in real life and you see that social media has given them everything, it's how their job is thriving, it's how their clothes are paid for, it's how they make all of their contacts. You are often, in my experience, and in my many conversations with people who live in those lives, there is a deep sense of emptiness and even despair, because their real life does not match their relationships in real life do not match the depth of the capacity that their digital relationships can hold. So in facing the void, I'm not sure how I want to land this. Jerome, do you have any ideas? Have I missed anything?
I don't think so. This is a really tough one. This is one of the heavier topics to address when it comes to actually losing the phone, getting rid of your smartphone, taking that seriously. I don't I don't judge anybody who
We're not
doesn't
doing
give
it.
up their phone.
Exactly.
You know, because it's really hard right now. The only consolation I think I have is that the more people who get rid of the smartphone, the easier it becomes for everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you want to do something really hard with your life, that'll, make you go through like withdrawals, and if you want to start to see all the problems in your life as they really are,
Well,
do we have the
yeah.
challenge for
Well,
you.
and I need to say, in this coffee conversation with my friend, he asked me how did you have to hit a rock bottom before you gave up your phone? And nobody's asked me that question, because a lot of the people that I have been given the opportunity to facilitate this process, they have hit rock bottom. It has destroyed their life, or is on the brink of destroying their life. And so their motivation, like an alcoholic who gives up alcohol,
Is to
is
not die.
right, exactly, is to not
Right.
die, or more specifically, to not lose something incredibly important to them, like custody of their children, right? So I realized that this is why my hope, as a therapist, I've seen over and over again people come to these incredibly beautiful breaking points out of desperation. I was one of those people who did not come to this out of place of desperation. I had only had a smartphone. Social media had really only been a big deal for about 4 or 5 years when I got rid of my smartphone. And my motivation was that I had missed out on some incredibly important years with my kids. I had escaped. I had escaped the difficulties of being a mom, of being a wife, of being a therapist, of functioning in life, facing all of the stuff we talk about. I had escaped them in my phone, and I was getting the very best of social media, and it was giving the best to me. And I had this moment where I looked and saw that I only had 4 years left with my kids at home, and that I could not remember. I was not present for them the 4 years previous. And I did not want them to leave home with me feeling the same way I was feeling in that moment. So that I was being invited. Life was inviting me into whatever the hard or difficult or embarrassing or humiliating or even the grief that I had to face in my neglected reality. I was willing to face that because I had something so much more beautiful calling out to me. And that was when each of my kids left home, I wanted to be able to say I was present. I was present for every moment I could be present for. And I was. And when I get to meet people who still have little ones at home, and I think, you don't have to miss any of it, I understand what I'm saying. It's really, really hard. Facing the void of the inadequacy of what my kids need and what I could give to them, or what I wanted my life to look like and what it really looked like. Or for so many people today, like Jerome mentioned in the last episode, who are living by themselves, the loneliness is so all consuming. I am so alone in the world. And I will tell you, the only way to not be alone in the world is to face that void and do the brave and courageous things of entering into your reality, your life, and your relationships, and being able to look back a year from now and not saying, I was basically I missed out on the year of my own life. So one little trick that I use was, if you knew you were going to die a year from now, how would you want to live this year? So take some time today, sit with your journal, ask yourself in your morning time or your evening time, if I only had 1 year left to live, what would I do with this year? And then back that down to, what would I do with this day? And see what comes up for you. And let that be your invitation to put down your phone. I would absolutely love if you got to come at this from a creative and inviting space instead of a place of desperation or brokenness.